characters represent a sort of a transcendent feeling that we all have inside us. That we can be the people that we lionize.
All right, folks, welcome to another Comic Talk. I don't really get to do these with a guest. It's so cool to have Ironcaster in the house. He's back again talking comics with me. Hey, brother, what's going on?
Oh, it is going fantastic. Look, any day you can get a chance to talk about comics and nerd out for a little bit is always a good time in my book.
And you've been to the store. You've gotten some cool stuff. I'm like, well, we're just going to talk about those things because it'd be easy for me to just make those as recommendations because those are fun talks. So, you want to do dinosaurs or should we do the Marvel character right now? What do you want to go to first?
Well, let's go ahead and get I think what was probably a more prominent story out of the way right now with the Marvel thing because that's been
because I've covered it before and I'm really happy that you brought it up and I saw it in your collection the other night. You were sharing some video screens and I'm like, wait, I know that Weapon X cover. Let's take a look and let's talk about that one for a minute. So this book is based on the Marvel Comics Presents Weapon X storyline. So this is some of the best Wolverine ever. Yes. Barry Windsor Smith, some great covers, some great art. So this is the experimentation on Logan. This is him becoming Weapon X. This is him getting adamantium and breaking out of the lab and the experiments. And we saw this. My daughter was asking about this the other night because they watched the Wolverine, the Origins one. I think most of this was in that movie, or was it in the Wolverine? I think it was in the Origins movie, right, where they trying to have those shots. Yeah.
And they've touched on it a bit with. I mean, that was sort of the prime place for it, but they also touched on it in some of the other the other X-Men movies where like Wolverine was just like kind of not there. Like I think not Days of Future Past, the First Class.
Okay, there's a quick scene here and there. You know, the memory moments where I'll get in his memory, he'll have flashbacks to that. But these are some of the greatest, best Wolverine comics of all time. They're collected in that one trade paperback. They're fantastic. So, do you have any sort of like first impressions or thoughts on that you could share with anybody?
It is the definitive Wolverine origin. Like Marvel's come along and tried to do some other little takes on it where they like try to tell you like, oh, he's actually like hundreds of years old, and it's like no, you're getting way too complicated. This is all we really need to know. Wolverine is ultimately a character I think kind of works best when he has this mysterious past that you can kind of vaguely puck from, but we don't need to know like every like grain of granola he had for breakfast. You take away a lot of the mystique, and it does a good job to give you all the origin you really need.
Okay, I think it's a great starting point. So do you like Wolverine Origins or not?
The movie or the comic?
No. Wolverine. Okay, yeah, no, not the movie. I'm talking about the comic. The Origin, or I think it's just called Origins. I don't even think Wolverine's in the title. Origins is the retroactive Wolverine when he had bone claws, when he was just James. It's like this story that was way before Marvel stuff like happened, basically long before this experimentation, like James the kid, and he was just a mutant and that. And I thought it was pretty well done and additive to this. I haven't read on with that, so I got to pretend. I know there's another sequel to Origins, and they've done other stuff since then. I'm not even going to talk about all. I'm just about the original effort. I thought was pretty well done and additive to this story. But this story is, I agree with you, the definitive how Wolverine was experimented on stuff that creates the character that everybody knows and loves for sure.
Yeah, this does the fantastic job of giving you all the elements you really need. It is. So much of that has basically become the modern mythos of the character that is really all you need. He's not a character that needs to be reinvented over and over again. He's a man who is basically a living beast that was, given some sharper teeth because man thought they could control nature.
Yeah, that's for sure. And he is just so well done for the era. I mean, he just from that this stuff started in the 80s. He was on Marvel Comics Presents #1, but he wasn't really always the focus of the story for years. And then they kind of came along and they just did this origin story right in the middle of the series. And this is this is some of the over the top covers. I'll just give you guys a little taste, if you will. So this is one of those covers in there. This is a 92. This is David Keith cover. Just very 90s and over the top with all the muscles and things of that nature that you would kind of expect. But this is a Peter David story where you have some different styles with Wolverine, but very a lot of shadows. Here's Cyber in here, and then lots of blood, lots of dark, edgy stuff. So definitely not what you get today. There's no purples and pinks and magentas like we get today. So for sure. So.
Right. Yeah, he's just this short, squat little man that's like super hairy. He's like, it's everything they're doing there is make him just like the most manliest man around.
Yeah. We were talking privately about this, and I had not heard this story. And just to piggyback off of some X-Men talk, I wanted to pull this up because I had not covered this, so I'm gonna have to just make this a clip as well, because this is just like, what is happening? Like, I don't understand the marketing plan on this. So I pulled the story up quickly. It says the X-Men editor explained that Marvel is going to hide bonus scenes in a QR code. So Jed MacKay and Ryan Stegman's X-Men #1 launched. They've got this new X-Men team, whatever. There's like, quote, Marvel post-credit scenes. And then it's like this 1-page bonus scene. And you can see they have this like QR code. And you're like, you brought this up. Have you seen this, Pops? I'm like, no, I don't understand. What are you talking about? And I'm like, oh, dear Lord. So what was your first impression when you even heard about this? Or did you see it at the store? Or how did this come into your play?
So this was something that kind of got brought up to me in one of the little group DMs of just this little baffling comic story where they want to try to. It's all ultimately geared towards them trying to get more people into checking out their online comic site. It's done to try to steer people towards reading comics online. This has basically been the playbook for Marvel for years and years. They give you like a digital copy of the comic with it. Just gotta come check out our app. But the problem is that you wind up. The problem is websites crash, websites fail, and that's been the issue with this one, where people have been scanning the QR code and, well, it's taking people to a 404.
Whoa, that's bad for business for sure. The quote here, this is they're a little free bonus, a little extra, sort of a modern day equivalent to the Things to Come page that ran in the first issue of that Claremont Lee X-Men #1, the editor added, referring to the single splash page that ended with the X-Men 90s relaunch. There's a Substack post. It goes on to say, in this era of early spoilers, I love this approach. Gives us the opportunity to hold on to some plot points right up to the day the title ships. Now, I will say this about the idea. Again, 404 error notwithstanding, let's just presume that issue got resolved. Ooh, let's put us back in order. Sorry, I switched this so we were covered up.
Yep.
I wish they would do this for like the next issue. So like even in like our comics that we love, like Transformers or Conan, there are times where I didn't want to see that cover, not that it has a spoiler in it or whatever. I'm like, I could see that being behind a QR code. Like if you can get a little preview of what's next, maybe like here's click the QR code, you can get a sneak preview of this upcoming issue's cover, or maybe like 3 pages that are teased, or we have a new writer or artist. But to just try to move people to digital seems very counterproductive to the overall business plan, don't you think?
I mean, that's sort of the reality of the situation. They're trying to adapt to an ever evolving marketplace, but the problem is you have it's like two fundamentally different groups they're trying to put together. Mm-hmm. The people who read comics on like exclusively via a phone, they aren't in the shops picking these up, and the people that are in the shops, buying the physical books, aren't necessarily the same people that are reading on their phone, reading webtoons, which, by the way, They do that for free.
Yeah, that's true. And all this stuff's easy to get for free is the problem too. It's like it's not that genie's out of the bottle. So yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I was talking about the different issues it's going to be in, and I did not know much about it. So I'm curious what you guys out there have to say about that. What you think about that? Ironcaster told me about it. I have mixed feelings because, like I said, I think you can do it for if you want a tease of the next book or a little 3-page, stinger tease or something like that. The QR code is not the worst thing in the world because then you could have people who could cross pollinate from a physical copy to that. But now, how do we get people from digital to physical? Or they don't care. I just think that the price on digital is too expensive for what you get versus buying physical. Like I don't. Yeah.
It's the same issue they have with a lot of video games, where hey, we'll charge you the same $50 for the digital copy on our service, which by the way you don't actually own, but this way we're gonna be able to pocket more of the money, and then we don't have to put into the shipping and distribution cost. It doesn't make sense, and that's something they need to take into account. They need to do that for the betterment of the customer.
Why would they not? Okay, let's just put ourselves in Marvel. Bops, you're in charge of Marvel now. We need to balance these two things. I'm like, well, why don't we just do two things? Why we can have two Venn diagrams. There's an overlap circle. So we have our physical market, we have a digital market. And let's say we have Wolverine, a new spin-off story, and we do it only digitally. And then we have our physical monthly title that we've been running since the 1980s or whatever. So we just make a special one shot that Ironcaster is going to write on this Wolverine. He's going to do a 6-issue miniseries. It's going to be digital only. If you want it, you have to subscribe to Marvel to get it, whatever. And that's how we just say there can be things that could be in both worlds or in just one world. And then if it's such a big hit digitally, we're going to release it on physical print for the first time. Like 6 months later, it's going to come out on physical print 6 months later because it was such a popular thing, right? So,
well,
that would
DC's
be
actually kind of done something. DC's actually done something along those lines where they've they're starting to do some of the Batman characters as their own exclusive webtoons.
Yeah.
Like there's I think a Bat Family comic that's on the Webtoons app. I think they've now moved out and they've done Catwoman, possibly Poison Ivy. I'd be willing to bet money they've also done a Harley Quinn thing because she's one of their other big characters. And it's something that, hey, Marvel, your competition's doing. You might want to consider doing something like this yourself.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're not even talking about any quality issues here. We're not talking about, fan relationship, customer relationship dynamics or anything like that. We're just talking about just from a higher level. So I don't know. Love your thoughts out there, guys. If you guys have thoughts, I'm just not participating in Marvel and DC right now. Do you even get, forget about the back issues like we talked about a minute ago, but are you even remotely getting any Marvel or DC comic books right now? Like new ones?
No. Right now the only thing that's on my radar for a Marvel book is when it's involving Ultraman, because they're I picked up the couple series of that, and they've teased a Ultraman across Avengers comic. That one I will pick up because look, it's Ultraman. This is a character I want to be able to get stuff from because for the longest time we really couldn't get it in the States. And and at the end of the day, I kind of try to avoid supporting Marvel a lot if I can, but that one little thing comes along here or there that they're going to get me for. So it's a matter of just pick your battles.
Yeah, I mean, I think that because I forget to look for it too. Like I'm about I would buy things that I would recommend that I would sell. That's what I would want to sell in the shop, right? Is I only want to sell the things. Just told my son this last weekend. Something happens to me tomorrow. I have things that reflect the good or the better stuff, the stuff that I would promote than a bunch of just random stuff trying to make money off of. So Batman Deadly Duels with the Joker story, I thought by Mark Silvestri was great. I would love to, but I forget to go and see in back issues where we're at on that. But to buy new releases of Marvel and DC, I'm at zero again. I kind of had a couple that I kind of would dabble with, but they just don't consistently hammer it. They have such a short expiration date. just not being good, and they lose my interest. Whereas this other stuff that we're going to talk about, I'm sure, is not that way. We're still hammering along. So,
Yep.
what
No.
are your-
The odd thing is, I found that ever since I kind of quit collecting the Marvel, quit picking up Marvel, quit picking up the DC, like in a way, I kind of leave the shop with more books now.
Yeah, I do find myself being more open to maybe some indie stuff that I would not have considered before because of budgetary reasons or whatever. So I guess I'm kind of in the same boat where it's how I found Blood Commandment, and The Long Road. Yeah. So there's some truth to that for sure. All right. So the other thing you showed off, which is so much fun, talk about 90s stuff. So we're going deep cut, and there's a million copies of these, folks. You easily can get a copy because if your store doesn't have one, as Ironcaster found, they'll just get one for you. Turok, that's right, 1993, baby. The Turok Danaher's 93. Definitely some fun stuff here.
Oh,
David
no, yeah,
Michelin, Bart Sears. It's it's good stuff. He's got 1 through 7. I think you told me you got.
Yep. It was just kind of a character that's always kind of been on my radar. I remember playing the N64 game back in the day, and so then I kind of was low to discover, like, oh, they actually sold these as this was actually a comic, and I'm like, really? I didn't know about this.
Yeah, Valiant did the video game after this through Acclaim, I believe. So
Yes.
Yeah, this is massive. This was a huge thing with Valiant. Jim Shooter went over there from Marvel and started this thing over there, and Valiant went crazy. And the problem with Valiant was there's just so many copies; they just saturated the market, just nuts.
I think I paid. Actually, I actually paid slightly above the price for these. I think I paid about $3 a piece for each one of those.
Yeah, I want to give people a little dose of some of the artwork here from Bart Sears. Just really a lot of detail, a lot of intricate details. Again, here's Turok with bow and arrow. I mean, intricate details, musculature, the hairs on this guy's back, right? It's in the Valiant universe, so you do get like the explanation of how he fits in with other characters. Go ahead.
You know, the thing that always stands out to me with this, and that I really love, is the way this is colored. Like, these are, I think, either markers, almost a watercolor look to it. It's just the way the colors just kind of pool and flow onto the book, just really draw the eye.
Yeah, the famous Bob Layton was EIC for this, so that's interesting. So, yeah, this is the general style and color, and then this is the flashback. They use just the red and orange here for the flashback to explain to you how it fits in with this is Magnus, and then explaining how the Valiant universe is coming together and why Turok kind of fits into that. So, here's him. This is Turok in the middle. This is Exo Man of War on the right. So, yeah, we definitely get how he fits into the grand scheme of everything here. And then there's just this incredible hunt going on here. Look at the eyes right here. Love this shot. So, yeah, I talked about this issue and these books briefly with Angry Canadian. So if you ever get a chance to connect with Angry Canadian about dinosaurs, folks, yeah.
Everyone loves dinosaurs.
Yeah. So good stuff, indeed, for sure. So have you read those yet? Are you familiar with them? Or is it just something you had never gotten to and you thought, well, I love dinosaurs. Why would I not give them a go?
Yeah, that was basically it. I haven't had a chance to really sit down and read into them too much. I've gotten to the first issue, but it was just a book that seemed like, maybe I should just kind of pick this up and just find a random book to collect. And with sort of the infamous, overprinting of the Turok comics, it seemed like an easy enough challenge to try to do. That, hey, I've got a comic eventually coming up like next week. I'm gonna go out there and I'll see what I can pick up for the issues.
Yeah, Valiant, the first half dozen, pretty much all of them when they start, are really pretty good. Magnus is good, Solar is good, Exo Man of War is good. Well into this kind of stuff. I even liked the beginning. For those of you who are going to hate on me, the beginning issues of like Archer and Armstrong and stuff. I had like a huge long box I gave to one of my son-in-laws. It was just all Valiant stuff. And it was just, he's like, wait, you have like one of each one. Well, yeah, they're kind of there. So, yeah, Shadow Man, Rye, yeah, Solar. I love Solar. I thought Solar was really good. And this stuff is like off the backs of stuff that had been previously created. So they were able to give credit to those creators, allowing them to make them, which I think is really kind of cool. And just kind of pushed it forward. And since then, I don't think Valiant, I just don't feel like Valiant's been able to find their legs on that. I loved the Exo Man of War Unconquered miniseries art. The story just had like 3 issues of story and not 6 issues of story. It was too much fluff and we're gonna do a thing, but nothing actually. It's kind of like watching some of the Disney Marvel stuff, right? We talk about watching where they'll have an episode where they end up back where they started, so nothing really matters. The real issues where nothing really mattered, but the art, oh man, some good art is out there. So yeah, that's good find. That's a good find. So let's dive into some good stuff that we actually enjoy.
Yes.
I have to admit that I have been a pretty poor YouTuber in this because I don't know what to say. I'm still buying some of the same stuff that I liked before, and I don't feel like I have much to say about. You should probably still be buying the same stuff because it's still good. That's kind of how I feel. I'm still on board with some of this stuff. So where are you at on something that you like?
Well, just to kind of change it up a little bit, let's talk a little bit about Space Ghost, because I think that is one of the. It's a little bit of a sleeper book that I want to kind of push on people more. This is one that this is nothing kind of much like the Turok in a way. It's a little bit of an kind of a book that's laying low that I think people are making the mistake of not checking out. It's an old throwback character from the Hanna-Barbera days that deserves his due. Like, he's this gruff and serious kind of vigilante who's out in space, kind of laying the law down, and he's gone and kind of rescued these 2 children who've kind of help bringing a little bit of levity and kind of bringing a little bit more of that lightheartedness to the book in a way that you could almost see like a Batman-esque character.
Oh, 100%. I was really blown away at how good this was. I had kind of been down the nostalgia stuff because of Transformers and Joe.
Yep.
And then obviously really enjoyed Thundercats of how it started. I felt like it was a pretty story-wise in particular was a good adaptation of the original cartoon, basically. Like it was fine. There's some issues and some changes, but it was like, okay. So when I heard and saw Space Ghost, and this is again what I saw, guys, like, how do I not? And as a kid, I love Space Ghost, and it was like, okay, this is really pretty wicked. And the story kind of just takes its time because these retro looks, these covers are just beautiful. Here's like a total homage to the cartoon right there. And it just kind of takes
Space Ghost.
Indeed. And it just takes its time telling their little story. And when we get him, and he is just super cool. This was our first introduction. I just like, whoa, this is so good. So
he's like a force of nature in this book.
Yeah.
You don't know where he's going to pop up. You don't know where he's going to come in, but when he comes in, he hits hard. And also on top of that, like we're starting off with a fairly iconic villain from his rogues gallery with Brack.
Yeah, they don't waste any time getting to some cool stuff and having some cool characters. And I have to admit, I had a really, really, really good time with all of this. I was hooked. I was hooked for sure. I'm definitely in on Space Ghost as well.
The next issue I'm especially looking forward to because they've been teasing up, and it's in that kind of pulp serialized sort of like naming convention where they're like the Cult of Zorak. I'm like, oh, tell me more. I got to see what they got to do. What they're doing with like arguably his most iconic villain.
And they definitely are very well aware of what some fans might want. So this is an homage cover, the famous Spider-Man cover, Spider-Man #1. They do a quick little homage here with Space Ghost. And they just kind of give you different styles along the way with these other alternative tons of alternate covers, by the way. But yeah, I was kind of shocked because David Pepos, I think is how you say his name, may not be the greatest of YouTube, Twitter personalities out there, but he is delivering a fun little adventure and story for me on this book.
It's good enough that I'm willing to overlook the fact that he's got me blocked on Twitter.
He's got us all blocked on Twitter. He's blocked everybody on Twitter. I just don't even understand, dude. Why are you doing this? Like, we're your, yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's a fun little book.
I just wanted to tag him and say, like, I love the book. Thank you for bringing back this iconic character. This is one of the first superheroes I saw as a child.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in those old reruns from the early days of Cartoon Network.
So at the end of every issue, they show you some of the different covers, which I think is brilliant marketing, because then you can go to your shop and go, listen, this is amazing. Where do I get this? Where do I get that? They're incentive covers that kind of tell you which ones. These are like 1 in 15, 1 in 20s. They have the different variants. They're virgin covers, not virgin covers. So if you find something you love, it's not that hard to find it. It's because you have a example in the back of your book that you can go look for. So it gives you the artist, so you can look it up by name, especially if you got to try to track it down online. I've done that for people too. So yeah, this has been, I have to admit, I've been pretty happy and excited with what they've done here. We should get that 4th issue any day now. Is that next week, this week, coming week? I think it's got to be soon.
I was just looking that up, and I think, I don't think it'll be out next week, but I think it'll be out the week after. So we're talking August 7th.
Got it. Yep. That sounds good.
Yep. August 7th.
All right. I think we're both down still with the Energon books. Transformers. It started with Joe and started with Cobra Commander. Now we're on to Destro and Scarlett as the new miniseries. What is your take on those two miniseries? How do you think that they have followed up how great Duke and Cobra Commander were? What do you think of Destro? What do you think of Scarlett?
I would say, well, Kelly Thompson, for the credit she has, she just really isn't bringing it as well. Like, this has been kind of a bit of a misfire. The Energon universe goes, where we're kind of getting into this little bit of a backstory with Scarlett, where has a secret language she's learned with her ninja roommate that she's gonna go in and check out, and it's like, this is really not all that interesting. That's been the mistake, and it's unfortunate because she's getting into the ninja stuff of the G.I. Joe universe. It's a little frustrating, but it's ultimately serving towards the bigger build-up that I'm still on board for. So, I kind of like it or not, I'm going to be on board with this.
There are elements that I liked. I definitely agree about her being like this super ninja girl and them not just somehow bringing it directly to Snake Eyes. I really didn't care for the art in Scarlet compared to most of the other issues as well. I just really didn't care for some of the art. It is, to me, by far the weakest of the Energon books to date. But I also am not so radically turned off that I'm willing to ditch. Does that make sense? I'm not willing to bail. I'm still in.
Yeah, I'm going to keep checking this one out just because it's ninjas. And, we could always use a little resurgence of ninja nonsense.
Yeah. It has a lot of negatives, though. I'm not gonna lie. Definitely not to the caliber of Destro, in my opinion. What do you think of that one?
Destro is bringing it is I think is obviously the better of the two books. Just because you really want to see these villains hanging out to be these, weapons conglomerate, maniacal guys who are basically you now have with this book two military, weapon manufacturers and dealers out here now, basically going to corporate warfare, where they're two of the more iconic villain groups. You have Tomax and Zaymot and Destro going to war with one another. All this kind of with the built-up background of, well, the Energon is out there, and Destro has these new soldiers that are kind of partially Energon powered. And you have these two twins that are trying to compete, try to overtake him. but you know that ultimately they're all going to be sort of on the same side within Cobra. So it's that curiosity of like, how are we going to like get to that end point? I want to see these two groups of villains trying to take each other out, even though we all know that they're never going to take each other out. It's all a matter of you want to see the dance, you want to see the dance play out. You want to see the song and dance of this as you get to watch just robots and military vehicles and all this stuff getting blown up, and I'm all there for it.
Yeah, I enjoy the melee. I enjoy the chaos. There again, inconsistent art issues. And I'm with you. I think that it has a lot of great elements, especially the curiosity factor of knowing a little bit about kind of where it's going to end up. So it's my third book on the list, right? So it's not as good as Duke or Cobra Commander, but it's better than Scarlett. I'm still in it for the long haul, and I'm definitely less aggressive or ambitious about buying extra copies of Destro and Scarlet because I don't have the feedback from everyone else that they're as excited. So I'm worried that some of the luster has worn off a little bit. However, aren't you excited to see the actual G.I. Joe version in Energon now? We're going to get the Energon Joe. So I think I'm really geeked up for that finally.
Yeah, no, that is the big exciting thing. You're like, I want to see where we're going to go with this because we've got just a solid year or so of build up to a book that we knew was coming. It's just been a matter of when, and credit where it's due with Skybound. They didn't just hurry up and throw out a G.I. Joe book because we knew it was coming. No, they took their time to set this up. And not only that, they have the extra added incentive of the which side are you on element to this book, where we're going to have a few different. We're going to have variant covers with both sides, so there's going to be a lot of fun in like the shop talk around that, where people are going to be talking about like, you got to read this, like, no, come on, like we're all about the Cobra, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, it's been fun every month. It's Energon's been the top of my list. The other one, of course, I think is we both love Conan and Savage Sword of Conan. So before we close, I wanted to give you a chance to talk about something else that should be on somebody's radar screen. Something else that you're like, I get this regularly. It's something that Ironcaster's into.
What with the Conan?
No, other than Conan. You got anything else other than, because we know we've talked about Conan ad nauseum on this channel and most channels. So what else? So Energon and Conan. Space Ghost we mentioned briefly. Was there anything else that you're like, this 100%? I'm grabbing this book too.
Well, not so much out of the comic shops, but there is one book that is a must read, and it has been for the last 20 years, and that's One Piece.
Okay. Yeah,
throw you that curveball a little bit because it is like one of the biggest anime around, biggest manga. It's been going consistently strong, and after all these decades of entertainment that have come out of this book, it's starting to wrap up. And with all the recent success, it is booming. It is bigger than ever. One Piece is one of those manga that will basically entertain you for years and years, literally, because there's over 100, I think we're on like 110 volumes of it now. It's over 1,000 episodes, 1,100 episodes.
I'm gonna say it's like 12. I thought it was up to like 1,200. Yeah, I know it's like well over 1,100 episodes of One Piece in anime. So yeah, it's incredible, and I'm just happy that that's happened. I'm happy that fans have something that's like that, because right now there could be some 10 or 12-year-old that's finding that out for the first time, and then now they're gonna just spend years of their life immersed into something that cool in that fantasy land and world. It's great.
It kind of brings me back to the days of hurrying home after school to go watch the latest episode of Dragon Ball Z, or watch whatever cartoon was always going to be on at 3:00. And I mean, for some, they'll be able to just marathon One Piece, and there's the kind of thing where after a while you knew you were going to get some reruns, so you would kind of like, oh yeah, I guess I'll watch it. But it's a series that just, there's still more. There's more. You still have more new stuff to be able to go enjoy.
Awesome. Well, folks, I'd love to hear more from you guys. You guys are always throwing some great recommendations and things like that, but it's great to catch up with Ironcaster briefly, talk about his trip to the shop, some of the things that he's been getting, but let us hear from you, some of the things that you're going on. Brother, this has been awesome, man. I know you're on every Friday with Nick talking comics. We'll make sure we got all the links and stuff there for all the different shows that you're on and working with, that kind of thing. Give us a general idea of some of the stuff that you guys will be talking about over on Nick's show over the next few weeks. Do you have any idea of what you guys are going to be into?
So this upcoming Friday, we'll be sitting down. We'll be doing our review of Wolverine Weapon X. And that's going to be the big book that we're going to be talking about there, because we've got this week the new Deadpool movie come out. So it was a good little kind of 1-2 combo of trying to lean into a little bit of that synergy. Perfect. And I think we might be getting ready to talk about some more Mark Millar soon, because he's got his new Rogues Gallery book out, and Nick has been all about that as of late. Yeah,
Mark Millar stuff's the top shelf, man. It's just, even the bad stuff that Miller's done, King of Spies, I think is great. I mean, just there's some stuff people don't care for, and I'm like, I don't know, I still enjoyed it, had a good time. The one with Sharky, the weird, crazy alien bounty hunter based on freaking Burt Reynolds, man. I had a ball with that book. It's just goofy fun. That's exactly what I want sometimes. So, but folks, make sure you're connected to this guy. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hanging out, talking comics with us for a little bit. We appreciate you for watching. Take care, everybody. Till next time, I'm Pops.